Hey, Craig. Hi, Jess. Oh, there we go. Greg's rocking on. Here we go. Let's see. Should be zooming in here in a second.
There he is.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, man. I'm doing great. What an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm excited.
I'm the one who's honored and privileged to have you.
I
Dude,
appreciate that.
you are you guys the holiday today, is that across spectrum or is that more like optional days off and stuff like that?
Well, for an entrepreneur, there's no days off, but for the
Right?
rest of the world,
Good
I think
answer.
yeah, it's a bank holiday and so forth. But I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I thought like lots of people joining here. Hey, everybody, this guy, Craig, you look like you just worked out, man. Did you just
That's
work out?
exactly accurate.
You are fired up.
Just worked out.
Is that your normal routine? Is the morning, or when is your normal routine?
Yeah, the morning. So Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, I run. For me, running is where the magic happens these days. On opposite days, I'll work out, with weights and so forth. So today was one of those days where I did some legs and some other stuff. But yes, to answer your question, nutshell, always like to bang out a workout first thing in the morning, start the day, and have an edge on the rest of the world, psychological advantage.
Right. What time is that usually happening for you?
Usually I'll work out around 6 or 7 a.m.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah.
Well, I really actually want to dive into that with you, especially the running, the magic part. My background was running, and looking at your Instagram, your webpage, lots of beautiful running photos. But everyone, we got Craig here, and he is jacked and ready to go. So he's bringing the energy. I hope you guys are ready for it.
Let's go.
And the wisdom alongside the energy, right?
That's what's most important.
And so this is called the naked truth. So the whole idea of these lives is just to get real, right? And to share truth, not platitudes, not just the stuff we can read in my usual blogs, but like getting really into it. And the whole spirit of the show is my upcoming book launch called Getting Naked, which is about an underwear company I started. But we're not here to talk about me and my book. We're here to talk about Craig. So because it's Martin Luther King Day, I wanted to start with a quote from him and have you just dive right into it. So the quote is, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." And boy, have we had a year of that. And so I was watching one of your videos. I'm not sure of the exact time frame during 2020, but you expressed that it was a challenging year for you, just like you imagined it was a challenging year for your followers, and the people who seek your advice. So talk to me about your approach to 2020, moving into 2021, and just this quote in general.
Yeah, so in regards to that quote specifically, it makes me think of someone who takes responsibility in being a leader, someone who shows up and allows other people to kind of count on them and for us to lead the way and pave the way, especially in tough times. For example, and I take great pride in this, 2020 was a challenging year to the world. There's no arguing that, but I was able to really find my passion, my purpose, and I went all in, and CLS was born, Cultivate Lasting Symphony, and I've had a ton of success. And most importantly, I'm as excited about life as I've ever been. And the whole message is to help people revamp their mindsets and get on fire for life. And I believe that nobody is broken, nobody needs to be fixed, but the perspective can be warped. And with the revamping of a mindset, there's literally nothing that we can't do. And so I take great responsibility in being that type of leader and helping be a beacon of hope and a light for people. So that's what I kind of got out of from that quote. And that's a beautiful and special quote. I'm glad that you brought that up for sure. In regards to 2020 and 2021, for 2020, it was just such a unique, unpredictable year. And I'm a big believer in this, Joel, that there's always a move to be made. And not doing anything and not making a move and not pivoting, that's also a decision. But on the flip side, doing something, making a move, putting together a strategy and pivoting, that's the move. And that's what's so important. And that's what I was able to do. And I believe the world can do that as well. And for 2021, it's just about more of the explosion, more revamping of the mindsets to reach more people on the biggest of platforms. And as cliche as this might sound, Joel, just help make the world a better place, helps people fulfill and see their potential.
I mean, amen. Amen, right? And that's, would you use the word awakening for 2020?
Absolutely.
Would you say that that's been,
Love that. Love that. Ooh,
right?
yes.
I'm hearing it everywhere, right? I'm hearing people just say, like, regardless of what, this is not a political show statement, regardless of what you think about COVID, the shakeup of the world creates the shakeups in ourselves that allow us to awaken, to see things differently, right? So the segue there is, you are, I can tell you're an effectual, passionate communicator. So talk to me about when somebody is throwing their insecurity at you, when somebody's throwing their fears and their objections at you, when you're just trying to friggin' help them change. What is it that you do to penetrate those blocks?
What an unbelievable question, my man. And it happens more often than you think. You know, a lot of people have those types of blocks and they have limiting beliefs and so forth. And for that, I would say this. I understand that change can be scary, but what's even scarier is going down the same unfulfilling path that a lot of us are going down. To me, that's the scariest thing that you can do. It's basically living inside your worst case scenario. And I came to the realization when I pivoted and went all in on my purpose, which is CLS. And let me just be straight up. I don't want a pity party. Like, life was good before I identified my purpose and my passion. Like, I had a business and I make money, but I was unfulfilled and I was unhappy and I didn't like the path I was going to. And I revamped my mindset to think that to continue down that path is basically death, because I'm going to wake up with regret and I'm not happy. And what the pandemic taught me, and this is, look, it's deep, but it is what it is. It's just how unpredictable life can be. I know people who passed away from the virus and it sucks. And so it occurred to me that you got to make every second count. You have to go all in. So for the people that have their insecurities and vulnerabilities, that are scared to recondition their mind because they're so used to being a certain way for so long, whether that be negativity or just having limiting beliefs, you have to make that change, or else what? You continue going down the path you're doing and you're not fulfilled and you're not happy. That's the scariest thing out there.
Yeah.
So when someone really identifies that, then the thought of taking that leap, taking that real shot at life becomes a lot easier for them.
Could you share, without naming any names, a personal story where, like, to just put a lot of color and context around when somebody has that epiphany, what was somebody's block and then they had that awakening? Is that something you can pull out of your back pocket, or maybe not?
I could pull anything out of my back pocket for you, Joel. Anything.
That sense, man.
I'm full of a ton of tricks. Here's the deal. So like, for example, so I have several clients who, you know, for example, are getting out of a nasty breakup, whether it be divorce or something of the sort. And as you know, relationships is a very touchy and a very emotional subject. And, you know, a lot of people, breakups end kind of nasty, and some people never saw it coming and so forth. And it could be devastating. But by revamping their mindset, by expanding their map of the world and changing how they associate that breakup with, so that person that they were in this relationship with, they don't have to feel pain or resentment towards that person. Yes, you could, but that's very heavy. And you carry that around, it's hard to fly. So I help my clients change what they associate, what their voice in their head tells them to associate to that nasty breakup. I'm not saying you got to love the person that may have broken your heart or hurt you, but you can apply indifference to them. They cannot have power over you if you don't let them. And by letting that go and allowing yourself to be free and remove those shackles, it opens up a whole new map to them. And now all of a sudden the possibilities of any other type of relationship, or even just the world itself out there for them, now it becomes exciting and exhilarating and not scary.
Absolutely. That is so bang on. And I was trying to see while you were talking there if there was any questions. I don't know if I specifically saw any, so I'm just gonna.
We got the CLS universe in here. They're very engaged, Phil. They're so engaged.
They
love
like,
it.
Boom.
I love all of them.
So they probably know this, but I don't. So you're on Wall Street, you're doing well, but you're not happy. What is going on for you, and how do you take that first leap out of that to what you now call, and clearly is your calling, your passion and purpose in life to help?
Yeah. So, I had two different lives on Wall Street. One was in finance, and then I left that one and I started a different business, also on Wall Street, but a little bit of a different industry. And I still have it today. But truth of the matter is what I learned when the pandemic happened, when I had that minute, when I heard the whispers of wisdom, it's like, if you have the ability to identify what you love to do, and we all do, we just have to dig deep and find it. When you wake up every day excited, like legitimately, like I can't wait for today. I'm so excited about new developments. And those types of days where like, oh my goodness, it's 7 p.m. I forgot to eat. Where'd the day go? Those are the best types of days. And we should all be so grateful to live a life like that. And in that other lives that I had, those other seasons on Wall Street, I lost that enthusiasm and I lost that excitement. And there's just too many variables out there that, like, look, end of the day, simply put, I want to make people happy. Yeah. I want to help people get on fire. I want to make people fulfill their potential and be excited about life. That's what I want to do. And all those other businesses on Wall Street and stuff like that, they didn't really do that for me. And so this is what I want to do. This is all it for me. This is what I'm going to do until my very last breath. And then even after my last breath, God willing, my legacy will live on, because I built a community, and the content it's never about Craig. It's all about helping people get on fire and find that spark back. And so to answer your question in a nutshell, to come full circle, I wanted to find something that excited me every single day, and that in my heart of hearts, I knew that I was doing something good. I was leaving a mark on the world.
Yeah, and you certainly have already.
Thank you, Joel.
So that is a beautiful thing. But who left a mark on you? Who's the person or people that gave you this energy, or give you this energy and this mindset?
Yeah, what a great question. So a few names come to the top of my head. Number one, my family, who means everything to me. My brother, Mark, who I believe is on this Instagram right now.
Mark.
Absolutely. We always give Mark a shout out. We love that guy. Best friend in the entire world. Him, my parents, my family means everything to me, and I want to make them proud, and also, just continue to help change the world. And I know that they're very proud of what I'm doing now and so forth. Other names that come to mind is I'm a big journaler. I can't get enough of it. I have 7 journals on my dining room table as we speak, open, all for different things. As I like to call it, sharpening the axe. I'm always getting inspiration from different places. And, a lot of people always ask me, Joel, like, who is your mentor? Who's your coach? For me, it's a little bit different, because I use the world as my playground. I get a little bit from so many different people, whether it's like real life characters, athletes, actors, whatever the case may be, historical figures, even fictional characters, like I've said in the past, like 007, James Bond and stuff like that, or Batman, just like people that I've grabbed inspiration from, and I applied it to cultivate this Craig 2.0 persona. I've just used the world as my playground. So many different sources of inspiration, starting with my family.
That's beautiful, man. And it's true, because, characters are based on archetypes, and archetypes are real. We all embody archetypes, and some of those are good and some of those are not good. Some of those things are stagnant. Some of those things are childish, and we're not embracing. And usually, usually the heroes, like the Batmans, like the James Bonds, they embark the best masculine archetypes that you can have. So I am totally with you on this collective consciousness of inspiration all the time. What about integration? How are you, 7 journals, clearly one of the ways. How are you taking the time to integrate the lessons that are just flying at you into your life?
Yeah, so, as I continue to journal every day, like I'll go over and I'll read different excerpts, or I'll be writing in it. And just a lot of the stuff that comes to me, I then just apply, and I get very inspired and very excited. And even, like, I'll give you a weird analogy. So, like, recently I've been watching, when I get into something, I watch it a lot, because that's how I like to sharpen the axe. I've been watching the movie Bohemian Rhapsody about Queen. So you like it? You a fan? So the end performance, when Freddie Mercury puts on the performance of a lifetime, it's towards the end. He hasn't been around with the group for a while, and nobody they don't really know for sure what they're going to get from him. And he puts
Yeah.
on arguably the greatest performance of all time in real life.
Yeah.
And just watching him, just like tunnel vision, he's on that stage, he's in the moment. This is who he is. This is what he was born for, and just absolutely crush it. You know, I've been modeling that, and I apply that to when I do some of these speaking engagements, such as right now being on with you, or
Yeah.
some of these other ones that I've sold out, you know, with hundreds of people on. And just so like, just taking stuff like that and then quickly applying it and modeling it, it's extremely effective. And also it's a ton of fun, which is great.
I would love to. I mean, that's all about, that moment is so powerful because it's so many things wrapped in one. It's trust and faith. It's living at your edge, right? Because what's he doing right before? His fucking voice doesn't work. Forgive my language, right? Right? Like his voice doesn't work, and he has to go on stage. And every single one of us in our lives has to face that moment of, I can either give in to the doubt, or I can trust my power. I can trust a higher power if I want to, right? Whichever it is for you. And we only can have that when we live on our edge. And that's the chance when we get to soar. And I'd love to know like an example in your life of when you were on that edge and you had to take a jump and you didn't, there was no literal net. You had to believe.
Yeah. Again, your questions are second to none. I love it. So for me, you know, the first thing that comes up is when I started CLS in the pandemic. And, you know, you may not realize this, but I'm more of an introvert. And, you know,
not my first guess.
And also social media was never really my thing. But when I decided that I was going to go all in on Cultivate, Lasting Symphony to help people revamp their mindsets eventually worldwide, you know, I realized that it was going to have to start by marketing myself and the brand on social media and putting out content. And what do I mean by content? Like videos of myself explaining what I'm going to do and so forth. And, you know, there was a moment when I did that and I was like, you know, here we go. But also I was also exhilarated because I was okay with striking out as long as I took that swing, because I knew in my heart of hearts this is what I was meant to do. And not to sound cocky or arrogant by any means, but I also knew in my heart of hearts that I wasn't going to strike out, because I was going to make this work because I love it so much. It's my everything. It's my soul. I want to help people. But ultimately, when I did put out that first video, you know, it was like, all right, here we go.
Here we go.
I didn't have that safety net, but you know, when you're able to find something that you know in your heart of hearts and your soul that just really lights it on fire, you don't hesitate.
Nobody believes you that you're an introvert, by the way.
I believe that. I believe that.
Okay, but what was the fear? What was the fear? Was it that was in that moment? It's like, shit, people might not like me. Man, like what was the fear? I'm not going to help people, or like what was hitting you?
Yeah. So the number one fear that I associate with that, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, maybe even you, when you start a business, is, I guess, imposter syndrome, right? You're like, I'm gonna put out a video, but who am I? There's so many people that do this, right? Like who's gonna believe me, or who's gonna believe my testimonials and so forth? But then you revamp your mindset. You realize I did do all these things. I did start 2 businesses into 8-figure juggernauts with no prior experience, and so forth.
Oh man, good.
Yeah, and so I did go from not being able to run a mile to run 4 marathons the next year. I did do all these things. Now I do have my own testimonial. So forget about the imposter syndrome. I'm just going to own that voice in my head and disregard it and allow my Craig stunt double to take the gunfire and just keep pushing forward. But ultimately, it was the imposter syndrome that you have to overcome for that split second.
And that one is so prevalent for so many of us. Now, somebody I think asked a question where the confidence comes from, so we'll go to that. But like, just for everybody on this chat, like this imposter syndrome is literally beaten into us for our entire lives, because like this idea that we're supposed to fit into a box with a label. And therefore, every time we want to push out of that box or bust out of that ceiling, we feel like an imposter, but it's not real. It's not a real thing. It's just somebody told you. And you have this oozing confidence to, despite maybe some imposter syndrome, despite any of that stuff, to rise again and again and again. Where does it come from?
Yeah, so you know, I have a ton of self-belief and all like the sharpening the axe and just my journaling and stuff. Like, I believe, and this is going to sound weird, but like, this is, sometimes you have to get weird and do stuff. And I believe I'm destined to wear a crown. And I just take these like mantras and these self-beliefs that I'm elevated above the crowd. And like, you know, I just have a ton of confidence and there's nothing that could stop me. And I mean that in the most respectful and humble way.
Yeah.
You know, all the greats, if you study them, you know, throughout history, they had an overwhelming self-belief about them where they just felt so
Yeah.
strongly in their abilities. And, you know, I have that and I practice it, but let me just be clear. It's something that I condition myself each and every single day. You know,
Yeah.
you have to give yourself a little bit of a pep talk. And then ultimately, I
Yeah.
believe confidence works wonders. When you're in an elevated state and you're confident in your abilities, it's not what can I do, it's what can't we do.
Yeah. Yeah. So what is that routine? Why don't we kind of pull this back to the very beginning? What else other than the journaling? And let's get Tim Ferriss level specific. Like I like to say, what are the 7 journals? What is each of those journals? And what is this routine in its entirety? I love to know.
Yeah, so I gotta keep some secrets in my back pocket, but I'll tell you this.
Okay, fair enough. You get to
E-
keep some.
each journal is for something else. For example, like one will have all about NLP and neuro linguistic programming, which is, you know, revamping the mindset.
Yeah.
Another one I have all about like the law of attraction
Yeah.
and all that type of stuff. Another one I went through a phase where I studied Kabbalah, which is a technology, and I felt, you know, that was very effective for me, stuff of that nature. Another one, I just have notes from all the great books and the movies that I've watched and read. So this way, instead of having to go back and read a full book, you just have tidbits and notes that you got out of it. And I'll go back to those and so forth. And, you know, depending upon what I'm about to do, whether it's hop on a great Instagram live with you, or maybe I'm going to take the stage and be a speaker, or, you know, maybe I'm going for a long run and I need some sort of, you know, psychological advantage, confidence. Depending upon the task at hand, I'll read different notes from different journals.
Right. And how much of that is your day taken up? Usually, like of these journals, is it an hour? Is it 15 minutes? How much of your day?
Yeah, so the beauty about this, Joel, is as follows. I don't just dedicate like an hour a day to journaling. I have all of them open on my dining room table, and I go to them when I see fit.
Right.
Literally, like after we hang up today, I might go to one of the journals, read an excerpt, get myself all excited, and then hop on to the next task.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. I love journaling. For the audience watching, and there's a lot of CLS University here that I absolutely love, I can't stress it enough. Journaling is huge. There's
Yeah.
something very powerful about writing stuff down, but also life moves very fast. It's hard to remember everything that we sharpen the axe to. So by having easy access to it in your journals, you can go back to it any single time.
Yeah. So what's
Do
your
you
philosophy on?
journal, Joel?
Sorry.
Sorry to
Oh
interject.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do Stoic journaling. I do Stoic journaling. So Marcus Aurelius journaling, where you have a
Love
set of.
him.
He's so good, and he's got a very specific set of questions that he asks in the morning and in the evening to kind of bookend your day. You know, we don't have to get into it if you don't want, but
I would love to.
the sun is shining. But so in the morning, it's questions like, who can I help? How can I show kindness and love to those who do not show me kindness and love? What do I fear today, or am I thinking negatively towards? Reminding myself, you know, my spirit, am I physical, like getting in touch with yourself. And at the end of the day, it's what did I let go of? What habits did I curb? Was I too hard on myself? All that kind of stuff
Yeah.
at the end. So I do my best to remain disciplined in that.
Yeah,
Um,
it's key. Love that.
Now, what's your philosophy on rest?
Rest.
Resting the mind, resting the body, resting from creative and business pursuits, total rest.
Yeah, so let me just be straight up with you right now. I know that the trendy thing to do these days is to preach about balance. But
Yeah.
as I'm sure you'll know, when you start something and you're building it from the ground up and it's really special, you can't have a ton of balance if you really want to fly and leave a mark on this world. And so because CLS is still new, I don't have a ton of balance. I'm working my ass off for lack of better words. But let me be clear. There's nothing in the world that I'd rather be doing. I'm grateful for
Right.
it to be this busy. I'm working basically 20-hour days. But ultimately, look, rest is key, not only physically for the body, because the body needs to reset. It's like a phone. Like you can't take the phone down to 0%. It has to charge a little bit. Your
Yeah.
body is no different, but most importantly is the mind. So like what I try to do, I try to make an effort every night, like towards the end of the night, right before bed, to just kind of have a little Craig time and disconnect and maybe watch something on TV or just do something that like doesn't require my brain, so to
Yeah.
speak, kind of just check out. You know, it's tough right now because I'm so busy with the CLS stuff, but ultimately I do think recharging and taking a load off and disconnecting is definitely key. Otherwise, you'll burn out. Even if you're doing something you absolutely love, you can burn out. You have to give yourself a little bit of time to unplug.
Absolutely. Are you honestly only sleeping like 4 or 5 hours a night?
Yeah, but it'll change because, you know, as CLS continues to build and I keep building my team and I have so many people that work for me right now, amazing team. I want to give a shout out to them. You know, it's making my job a little bit easier. But
Yeah.
ultimately, you know, once you get to a certain point, you can kind of delegate more and you can get a little bit of rest. But I'm still in that, you know, coming up hungry phase where you'll stop at nothing to reach your vision. I'm sure you've been there when you started your thing also back in the day.
Absolutely. You know, Joe Rogan likes to talk about earned rest. Like you earn that big rest, right? And we like holistically, we don't have to look at rest and balance as a 1 day, 24-hour or a 7-day thing. We can look at rest and balance as a 3-week thing, a 5-week thing, a 6-month thing, right? Depending on, to your point, what is the task at hand that I have to get done? And can I be disciplined enough to get through that and then take the rest and recovery and integration that I need? Again, I apologize if I'm missing questions. These things are flying through. I'm trying to keep up.
CLS Universe comes strong.
They are.
They're on fire. I love them. Cyprian, what's up, buddy?
What is Cultivate Lasting Symphony? What is that?
What a great question. So ultimately, it's a play on my initial CLS, but what it means specifically to me is to grab that edge in life that lasts forever. I don't mean like inspiration, motivation. As you know, those can be temporary. Yeah. It's the same reason why everybody goes to the gym January 1st, and by February 1st, it's empty. It's because anybody can watch, you know, an exciting movie and then the motivation fizzles out. But Cultivate Lasting Symphony means to grab that edge and revamp your mindset that'll last forever.
Right.
And symphony is an interesting word, and a lot of people say, why did I choose that? And I'm a little weird. I won't shy away from that. I'm a strange cat. For me, the word symphony is like a big orchestra, all playing in sync, in tempo, just all on the same page. And so that's what I want with Cultivate Lasting Symphonies, for everybody to just grab that edge, not inspiration, but permanently revamp their mindset on what they see possible for themselves so they can fulfill their destiny.
That's so beautiful. And I actually had thought that maybe it was attached to Alan Watts, because Alan Watts has the great message that life is a symphony, and you don't listen to a symphony to get to the end of the symphony. You listen to the symphony to enjoy and relish in the symphony. And so I thought maybe there was part of it. Maybe it can be now. But DC Sunshine 13, I don't know. She's got You Are a Badass book there, which is a killer book on her picture. Asking about platforms. I think the question originally was, what platforms do you use? If that's not right, just pump it in there again.
Yeah, real quickly. So obviously Instagram, Facebook, the YouTube channel, Craig Siegel, and the podcast, the CLS Experience, was just launched last week. We had over 10,000 downloads within 5 days, which is unbelievable. Dropped a new episode today with Joel Brown, who's coach, mentor, and speaker. And it's just so much fun. You can subscribe anywhere you listen to podcasts, so much value and so many tangible techniques to utilize from that. So those are the platforms. Then obviously once the world opens up a little bit, God willing, touring the world and speaking and helping everybody revamp the mindset.
Amazing. Baby girl bot, Rachel, did we miss something from you? I'm happy to answer or ask any questions. If we did, apologies.
Yeah, throw in some questions, audience. Yeah, let's do this.
We got the man. We got the man. That is crazy, by the way. Did you have was that 10K that you got, was that intentional? Like, did you have any idea, or was it completely planned? Like, I set out a strategy and I executed the heck out of that strategy and I got my 10,000.
Yeah, so I thought you'd ever ask. So when I assembled what I believe to be is the dream team for the launch campaign, because everything that I do is very strategic. I don't, do many things spontaneously. Like there's always an organized strategy. And so I assembled different components and I put them together. And I told the team that I wanted to hit 10,000 downloads the first week, and they
Yeah.
may or may not have looked at me like I had 10 heads and that I was
Yeah.
crazy. But we put together this strategy, and we figured out, kind of reverse engineering it, how this would be possible. This was my moonshot. It's a word I like to use with my programs.
Yeah.
And we put the strategy together. And look, when you do something like that, you never actually know for certain. There's no guarantee. But I executed the strategy. And most importantly, the message has resonated with the audience, and they're sharing it and they're loving it. And so we were able to nail it. But yes, we did have a strategy.
Well, congratulations. And I think there's a valuable point to dissect there, because to borrow a personal example, we had a Kickstarter a couple of years ago that did $1 million. So for guys who don't know Kickstarters, that's a 30-day window to pre-sell something. And again, it was, who knows, it was the moonshot. But what did we do? We hired only firms that had done $1 million plus on their on other people's Kickstarters. And that had at least a verbal commitment to us. Like, so intentionality, the point being, has to be followed by action, thought out action.
Oh, yes.
And deliverables that can get you there. It's the saying of it is just the beginning, the opening up of its possibility, but it doesn't just then all of a sudden, fall into place. All right, dude, what do you intend to do for 2021? What are your goals? These are going to be big, I imagine.
Yeah, so I'm very humble to say that all the strategies since launching CLS have worked, and then some. So I know this isn't the sexiest answer, but 2021 is just more of the same, but more of an explosion. Now that we've built an unbelievable community and people are sharing the message, just continue to infiltrate other audiences. And obviously the podcast that just launched will be a great platform so that we can be heard all over the world. And let me just be clear again, I say this selflessly. It's not for me. I don't care about me. This is a message and a movement, and everybody can get behind it. And now I see that people are listening to us all over the world. Literally, like when we looked at the data from the podcast, I mean, every single country, it's crazy to think, and it's so special. So that, and then obviously as we continue to do more speaking engagements once the world opens up and so forth, just stuff of that nature, and obviously continue to build. Like I just launched my first mastermind a couple weeks back. It was a huge success. I love the people in it. It's great. Obviously in a couple months, we're going to do another one, a bigger one, and so forth. And just more of the same, keep pushing forward and keep helping spread the message of light and potential to everybody.
And I will ask this question, how do you go from overwhelmed to discipline? But I just want to dial in one more time onto this. Is there one specific message that can sum up creating lasting symphony and yourself? Is there one, or is it sort of, because some people, when they go to masterminds, they're going because they want to make more money, right? Like that's the whole thing. But for you, what is it that they're going to get when they go see you?
Yeah, what an unbelievable question again. So when you interact with me, number one, you're going to be in an elevated state, because I know how to elevate someone's state. And when you're in an elevated state, there's nothing that you can't do. And all of a sudden, the answers about how to do things will come to you. And number two, I'm going to help you revamp your mindset. A lot of us have been conditioned a certain way for our whole life. And sometimes we have limiting beliefs. Sometimes our map of the world is narrowed and we don't think that we could do great things. And I can help revamp that. So where you once saw limitations, now you see possibilities. And here's the thing. There is nothing that we can't accomplish if we have the right mindset. I truly believe that. And I'll give you an example. When I ran 4 marathons last year, having not been able to run a mile without stopping the year before, I don't believe I did that with my physicality. I believe that was all mindset, because I had this vision that I really wanted to break 4 hours, because as someone who's ran before,
it's
4
no
hours,
joke, buddy.
yeah, and 4 hours is a thing, right? And it took me a third crack at the marathon distance to do that. I'm not afraid to admit that.
Yeah.
Once I broke 4, I revamped my mindset, and then the next marathon I ran, which was 2 months after that one, I hit 3:39 in Philly with my brother Mark there watching. So I shattered 4. Was that a coincidence? Did I imagine super, like a lot more athletic? I don't think so. It's because I revamped my mindset and I tilted kind of what I'm capable of, and everybody has it within them to achieve so much more. There's just, it's like a sports car with the governor. A lot of us have that on there, and we kind of have to remove that. And then all of a sudden our whole perspective opens up. That, in addition to being in an elevated state, is something that we can't do.
Yeah, that reminds me of the original sub 4, right? Which was Roger Bannister, the 4-minute mile, where, you know, not the 4-hour marathon, but the running a mile in under 4 minutes. And you're talking about, yeah, I can't remember 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, maybe this was now. Nobody'd ever done it. And it was deemed impossible.
Yeah.
And now in the United States, almost every single year, a high schooler does it, let alone
Right.
thousands and thousands of others. So I would say that that is like one of the iconic classic examples of how mindset is driving physicality. Although I wouldn't put
100%.
it past you that you didn't get physically more fit either that, as time went on. Okay, overwhelmed to discipline. How do you go from a state of being overwhelmed, like we all get, to just cultivating and getting back into your discipline and flow?
Yeah, so that's a great question. For me, it's a very simple answer, and this is it. You apply structure and you put together a routine for yourself so that you take the thinking out of it. A lot of us are overwhelmed. We have a to-do list that's this long. Just start and keep it simple and put together a little conquer list, as I like to say, and start crossing things off the list.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you get momentum. And then once you get momentum and you start crossing things off the list, now all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is cool. That was fun. I'm on fire. You know, what's next? And when
now,
you get that structure, it just makes everything so much more seamless. What were you about to say?
Oh, no, and then I was going to say, now you're on fire, and then all of a sudden you get a nasty email or you get something really lame, whatever happens. How do you pick yourself back up? How do you get back up? What's the next?
Yeah, so look, this is a saying I like to say to myself. I refuse to entertain negativity because life is too big and time is too short to get caught up in empty drama. Okay, let nothing disturb you. Everything passes away except God. Yeah. So you get a nasty email, whatever the case may be, just take a second. Don't apply a specific emotion to it. Just acknowledge what it is. It's an email. Yep. How should I respond? What needs to be done? And then just attack it. And then just take a second to breathe. It doesn't have to ruin your state. It doesn't have to ruin your day, so to speak. You don't have to give it that much power. You control your mindset and your emotion and what you want to give to that. So take a second, breathe.
That's really it, right? That one of the keys is breath and just coming back to our breath. And maybe that's a fair way of segueing, maybe not too jagged, of segueing back to the magic of running, because breath is a huge part of running. Breath is one of the reasons why in running we can go into a euphoric state, you know, runner's high, all that stuff. But talk to me, wax poetic if you want, about the magic of running. If you can.
The magic of no, you know what? For a second, I just got emotional. I just got emotional for a second, and I don't usually show that type of vulnerability on Instagram Live, but I don't know why that just hit me. But when you said the magic of running was a big catalyst to help change my life. And the reason being is because when I was going to a job that I wasn't fulfilled with and stuff of that nature, I didn't start CLS yet. There was a gap when I was unfulfilled until I started CLS, and I had all this built up run. And I see my client, Dave, who I absolutely love. I want to give a shout out to. Dave 2.0, and he can relate because he's a runner. When I started running, I had all this built up fuel and energy, and I applied it to the running, and it was such an outlet for me mentally. Forget about the fact that it does get you shredded, melts body fat. That's all great. For me, it was just a mental outlet where I could just be me with the pavement, my thoughts, and God. Not to sound too spiritual, and just kind of like work on owning that voice in your head. Because here's the thing, right? Let's be honest. God willing, most of us can run. We can put one foot in front of the other and go. But the voice in your head comes in and goes, okay, you've ran 3 miles, you're good now. You've ran 18 miles, you can step up the course, you're good now. You have to learn how to control and beat that voice in your head. And once you do, you realize what you're capable of. And running to me is such a metaphor for life. It's so mental. Not to mention, you do get that physical euphoric high as well, which certainly doesn't hurt. But the reason I got emotional for a second there, Joel, is because I just took a second, and running really has been such a big part of my life. I only just recently picked it up a couple years back, but it's so good for you mentally. And I love that you asked that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a more mind, body, spirit activity. So you know, where anybody can really tap into all three just through the act itself with no other intentionality around it. There was a question about love, but I wasn't sure what the question was. So I'm not, if you can throw it down there again.
Who's got some questions? Hit us. Hit me.
Did you only run or did you do some lifting? Well, at the beginning, right? We lift 3 days a week?
Yes. Yeah. So I lift 3 days a week. But for 15 years, I would work out in the gym and lift weights. That was my thing. You know, not to be a bodybuilder, just like that was how I worked out. Once I discovered running a few years back, to me, that's where it all clicked and that's where the magic happened. But yeah, lifting weights is still a part of my routine. I work out every single day, but I'll say this. Where working out with weights used to be where the magic happened, now it's not. Now running is. And the other thing, the cross training is just to kind of maintain.
Yeah, and what are you, just out of my own selfish interest, what is your diet routine like alongside? Because that's a heavy load of physical and the work, you know, so.
Yeah, so let's circle back to discipline and structure. I'm on a meal prep, so I don't think. I get my meals delivered to me once a week, and I eat every 3 hours. And my thought, and look, I understand everybody's different, but here's my thought process. This is what works for me, and I've helped a ton of clients do this as well. Your metabolism is like a flame, and every few hours you throw a log into that flame, and it keeps it burning, and it melts body fat, and it works for you. On the flip side, when you don't eat for very long, your body tends to go into starvation, so it'll store what your next meal is. So for me specifically, I like to eat portion control every few hours throughout the day. Right. I don't really think every 3 hours, and it's like a machine. And let me just be clear, I'll definitely go to dinner. In fact, my brother Mark asked me to go to Hillstone with him tonight, which I may or may not accept. But the point is if I want to go out and have a great meal and go bananas and cheat a little bit, no problem. I don't, because for the most part, I'm disciplined, every day of my life. So I'm not the type that like can't go out and have fun with a big meal.
Right. That's good. Do you fast at all?
Nah. Not really.
Nah, I find I sometimes do, but I struggle with it. I struggle with it a little bit. It doesn't feel sometimes very balanced in my system. But
yeah,
teach
their own.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say teach their own. Yeah,
that's just the big thing. But I look at a guy like you who's just working and working out and doing all these things, and it's like, if I want to do that, I think you're totally right. The nutrition piece, every hour, feeding that beast, feeding that mind is the critical piece. And it's been many years since I lived in New York. So now that you're talking Hillstone, New York,
that's correct.
It's been a few years since I ate there. Now I'm thinking of it.
Oh, it's a classic. To be honest with you, it's one of my favorite restaurants. I haven't had it. You can tell how excited I just got since the beginning of the pandemic. But my brother Mark somehow had a reservation to go there tonight. And to be honest with you, I might be sold. We'll see.
Mark, if he doesn't come, I'll see if I can hop on a plane.
Where are you now, Joel?
I live on a farm in outside of Vancouver, BC.
Nice.
I got chickens, I got a big fluffy dog, and all that kind of fun stuff. All right, just a couple more questions because I want to end on a drop the mic high note, which is pretty much everything you say.
I think I can do that.
Right. So what about this key statement that helps keep you on track with having a positive mindset?
Okay. So look, every single day of my life, when I wake up, I have a choice, and so does everybody here today. You can be happy or you can be miserable. I choose to be happy because for me, it's a no-brainer. So when I look at things, I have a positive outlook. I look at the glass half full, not the glass half empty. The reason I do this is because once upon a time, I didn't have this positive mentality. I wasn't so happy and so fulfilled. And it just makes things worse to look at things with a negative perspective. There's no benefit to it. On the contrary, with a positive mindset, you start thinking about like, what can't I do? Like, oh, I see that. How can I get creative and overcome this challenge? all of a sudden challenges become exciting to you, not deal breakers. And also, I'm very spiritual, and I believe that the law of attraction and the secret and stuff of life, if you ask for good and you believe, and the universe will respond. But you have to have a positive frame of mind. Life's too short. Like, we're on borrowed time. We're not going to be here forever. Make every second count, be happy, and live in a state of gratitude. You can't be miserable and grateful at the same time.
I'm not even going to comment because it's such a good moment to end on. Dude, thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that love and wisdom to my morning, to everybody's morning here. I'm sure that the audience would like you to just keep going and going and going. Any like, you know, guys, go get out your journals. Go get 7 of them. Be like Craig. I want to be like Craig. I know you guys already do. So thank you. And man, let's stay in touch. I wish you all the success you're seeking this year, and to your lovely followers, all the healing and success you guys are seeking as well.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to close with?
Yeah, I just want to say this for anyone that's watching this. If any of you guys found a ton of value in this, here's the great news. Change doesn't take as long as people think. You can change in an instant. You can change your frame of mind. There's tools and techniques, there's support out there to help you change your perspective. And when you start looking at the world like this from a different angle, all of a sudden everything opens up for you, and we're all capable of it. So there's greatness in all of us. You just have to have the right strategies and the right mindset revamping techniques. All of us are capable. No one is exempt. No one is immune to this. You could change in an instant. I want to say a special thanks to Joel. And also, I know that a lot of my audience is here today, which I love. We like to be box office, and they always comment, and I love that. Should you guys check out Joel? Should you follow him and see what he's up to? The answer is absolutely. He's a great guy. He's doing fantastic things. I feel a connection to you, Joel. I'm excited to watch you fly, and you have my word right here, right now. This will definitely not be the last time that you and I collaborate.
Love it, brother. Okay, love it. Everybody have an awesome day. Have an awesome week. There's no better way to start a week than with Craig and his lasting symphony. All right, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joel. Take care, buddy. We'll speak soon.
Enjoy the dinner.
I will. Bye-bye.